Gatehouse of Fleet. Once there was just a house on the road to the bridge over the Fleet. Today there are many two-story houses along the wide main street. Many are painted white. There are shops, etc. A splendid granite clock tower built in 1871. At that time, Gatehouse was a booming cotton town with 4 mills, a brass foundry, a shipyard and several other industries. But these gradually closed as nearby larger towns took over. Today, close to the water of Fleet, stand one of the remaining mills and 2 water wheels, all pleasingly restored. Portpatrick in Galloway and Donaghadee in Northern Ireland were the main ferry terminals for crossings of the Irish Sea. In the 1820s, Portpatrick's harbour was extended, but it was frequently damaged or closed for days on end by severe southwesterly gales. And finally the trade was transferred to the more sheltered harbour of Stranraer. Since then, Portpatrick has developed as a popular though quiet resort. Picturesque cottages line the harbour, overlooked by an impressive Victorian hotel which stands high on the cliffs. The Gavin Maxwell Memorial, southeast of Monreath, sitting atop a rocky outcrop and a grassy hillock, close to the narrow road to the shore, is a bronze otter, commemorating the life and writings of Gavin Maxwell. From the hillock, enjoy what was believed to have been one of his favourite views along the delightful coastline. A nearby plaque says, "This place he loved as a boy and made famous as a man." It is where he got the inspiration to write Ring of Bright Water. Isle of Whithorn. Irish pilgrims landed at the Isle of Whithorn on their way to visit St Ninian's shrine at Whithorn Priory. To the east of the harbour lies the ruined St Ninian's Chapel, which dates from early in the 12th century. Further on the highest point on the isle, is a fine white tower, once used for signalling the state of the tides to approaching sailing ships. The harbour used to be a very busy place, but over the years it fell into decline and was very little used. Then, in the late 60s and 70s, it suffered very severe damage. In fact, it was practically washed away. That might have been the end of that, but for the county clerk D.R. Wilson. He fought the village's case right up to the government level, and against all odds persuaded the government to repair the harbour, because it provided essential protection for the village. The witness cairn was started in 1997 to commemorate the arrival of the Christian missionary St. Ninian to Scotland. Pilgrims are encouraged to place stones with personal messages to the cairn. In memory of the local men who died at the sinking of the fishing vessel Solway Harvester on the south-east coast off the Isle of Man on the 11th of January 2000. This small chapel, named after Finbar, a 6th century Irish saint, was probably built in the 10th or 11th century. Its bleak position on the exposed coast is due to the nearby beaches used as a landing place for pilgrims. They were going to the shrine at St. Ninian's at Whithorn, especially those from Ireland. Chapels of this type were common in Ireland at that time. The chapel is very simple, comprising a single rectangular room engaged from indoor to the south wall. The walls are built of large dressed stones bonded with mortar. A dry stone perimeter wall surrounded the site, which was characteristic of early Christian churches. Murray's monument at the Galloway Park. Alexander Murray, a self-taught linguist, was born in 1775 at nearby Kitterick Cottage. His father was a shepherd, and Alexander, at the age of 10, was employed as a shepherd's boy. By very hard work, he taught himself Latin, Greek, Hebrew, and French, and in 1794 his achievements gained him admission to the University of Edinburgh, where he learned several Eastern dialects. In 1812 he became professor of Oriental languages at Edinburgh University, but he died in his late 30s of tuberculosis. You are looking at a rare and ancient animal, the British primitive goat. Goats like these were kept by our ancestors. Celts, Vikings and Saxons all valued them for their milk, meat and skins. Goats have lived in this park since the 1970s. There are between 40 and 60 goats here, and several hundred living on the surrounding hills. The male goats use scent to attract females during their mating season, August to January, known as the rut. A billy can make his own aftershave. It comes from a gland in his neck. He will also urinate into his own mouth and then spray the wee over his beard. Goats give birth from January onwards, known as kidding. It's a hard time of year for the baby goat to survive.